Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today it's time for Friday Reads. And welcome to anyone who is new. I've seen a few subscribers have joined in over the past week or so the more the merrier. I'm so glad that you are here. And on Friday, I talk about my week in reading and what we've been watching and any other stuff that comes up. The first thing I want to talk about before I get into the regular Friday Reads portion is a little shout out for the BookTube Prize 2024. They are looking for judges, and this event is organized by Robert Sheard, and I'm going to put the announcement for judges video in the description box so that you can think about participating, because they are still looking for, I think the last I saw, they were about 18 short for the minimum they need for this upcoming year. Let me describe it real quick in case you're not familiar. The BookTube Prize is a prize awarded in the categories of fiction and nonfiction and judged by community members of BookTube. You don't have to have a channel to participate. You can just be someone who enjoys watching videos and commenting and things like that. Everybody is welcome to throw their name in the hat to be a judge. And it moves in segments throughout the year. There's 4 rounds, I think. And last year, I did not judge in the first round, but then I judged in the other 3 rounds. So in any round, you may or may not be selected. It's like a random selection. And then you also have a chance to opt in or out in that round. So just because you sign up doesn't mean you're obligated to do it in every segment throughout the year. So if you know that in the next month or two something's coming up there where that's not going to work for you, you can opt out of that particular segment. If you do judge in a segment, you will be assigned, like as it moves through the octafinals, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, you will be assigned 6 books to read and rank in a 2-month span. So basically, if you can accommodate 3 books a month, and chances are you may have read some of those books already. I never got any rounds where I had not read any of the books. I had always read at least 2 or 3 of the books in the rounds that I judged, and I also only had to purchase 2 books. So in one case, it was at my library, but it was not going to come in time. And in the other case, it was already on my TBR as a book I wanted to buy. So I did not have to buy a bunch of books that I didn't really want. Now, you may have to read some books that you didn't plan on reading or that you end up not liking very much, but that's kind of part of the fun. It's a roll of the dice, and you're going to read some things that were unexpected. And sometimes it's kind of like a mystery bag. Sometimes it's something good, and sometimes you're like, I wouldn't have read that otherwise, but it's still fun. And so if that sounds like fun to you, sign up, and the link for all that will be in the comment place, the description box. That's the thing I'm looking for. That's the end of my public service announcement about the BookTube Prize. So this week, well, it was a week. It was a week. It's better now, and it was never bad. It was just one of those times where you find yourself mired in the quicksand of malfunctioning things and customer service issues, and everything breaks at once. It was that kind of a 10-day span. So the car started it off. The car triggered it all, because we put the car in for some work, and it really needed 2 things, but we only did one of the things, so we still have another thing to do. And then the dishwasher died, and it's been dying. It's old, and we knew we were trying to kind of jolly it along, but it was just done. So we ordered a new dishwasher. And so several days went by, we're washing the dishes by hand, which is, no big deal. And then it comes, and they were like, oh, we can't install this. It's too far away from the sink. Okay, there's the sink, one little cabinet, and then the dishwasher. It's like 4 or 5 feet apart. It's not, we don't live in a castle or something. It's not, no crazy layouts. It's just kind of an ordinary smallish kitchen, and it's like, there's the dishwasher. No, we can't do that. So they said, oh, we're going to just refund you that installation right now, and you can call a plumber. And we're thinking, is it really going to be that simple? Well, no, it was not. So he's actually like typing something saying, I'm refunding your installation fee right now. Well, I don't know what he did because he didn't do anything. So that was like a whole phone thing that Steven's been doing since, trying to get that straightened out. Had to wait because it was a holiday weekend to call the plumbers to come out and do the installation and fix something else because, okay, it's always something else. And so finally, the dishwasher thing was like another 10-day odyssey, but we do have a lovely new functioning dishwasher. And then while we were having that long holiday weekend, it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained, and a leak manifested in one of the bathroom ceilings. And it finally stopped raining, and Stephen has gone up there and believes that it is now repaired, but we won't know for sure. We have to test the integrity of this repair the next time it rains. So maybe that's finished. I ordered 2 books. One of them came in the wrong edition, and I ordered a hardback, and I got a paperback, and the other one is still lost in the mail. So that's a whole customer service thing. And then I had the medical records that needed to be sent from one office to a new office, and that seemed to be an unprecedented request in the history of healthcare to transfer your records to your new provider. So that's been a thing. And so there have been, that's such a thing. The lady at the clinic here, the new place I went, we've talked so many times, and she's really nice because we're trying to get the other place to send these records. It's like she doesn't even, when she sees that I'm calling, she doesn't even say the name of the place when she answers the phone. She just picks it up and she's like, hey, how you doing? We're just like chit-chatting now. So yeah, it's been a week. We've been working the phones and everything else. So but the one creature on our estate that has been happy through it all is this cactus. I'll put her picture up, who out of the blue, or out of the pink rather, just all of a sudden came out with this gigantic flower. We've had this cactus for like 1.5 years, and it's just been a cactus. It was just the one stalk forever, and then all of a sudden in the past few months it grew the little extras. It was kind of obscene looking for a while, and then all of a sudden this magnificent flower suddenly appeared in the rain, and the bees rejoiced. So that was kind of fun. All right, that is the end of my litany of minor despair, and I think we're turning a corner. We are marooned between shows. We're still watching the baking show. We finished Bodies, which we loved, and I have been relentlessly pestering Stephen with my questions and my theories. I have lots of theories. I exhausted him, and I had to turn to the collective genius of Reddit to see who else shared my theories. I didn't add anything. I just read what everybody else said. I'm a Reddit lurker on a lot of topics. But the past couple nights we were trying the Gilded Age, and it started out kind of good, but then it's very predictable. I don't know if you watched that, but after about 3 or 4 episodes, the same things were already happening, and you could tell exactly what was going to happen next. And so I think we might bail on that one. It looks beautiful, but it's just, I don't know. When you've read enough good literature from that time period to watch a show that's just not as good isn't very satisfying. So we're looking for a new show. Okay. So enough of random other topics. Let's talk about the week in reading. So it is still nonfiction November, so I'm going to start with the 2 nonfiction books. Of course, I put them on the bottom, didn't I? So let's see. I did finish. Oops. How do I get these all mixed up? I have the pile just like I want it, and then I go to show them, and they're all mixed up. I did finish I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. I really enjoyed this. Most of the people who commented about it also said they liked it a lot. I think 1 or 2 people did not care for the book. but I really did enjoy it. And it is not a traditional or linear kind of memoir. It's not, I mean, it is a memoir, but it isn't, because it's not like, well, here's what happened in my life up till now. It moves around in time in what I guess you could say it's scattershot, but actually it's very well controlled. And she talks about different times that she had some kind of brush with mortality, either for herself or somebody she was with, and near misses, accidents, menacing situations. But really, each of them stands alone as an essay that is, the plot wise, the thing that happened is what it's about, but it's always about a lot of other things too. The turning point that she is at in her life when that happened, in a relationship, or um, in her pursuit of her career, or getting ready to move, or moving into motherhood, different things, different turning points. Um, Other times it is about larger issues like the problem of not being taken seriously in healthcare, about relying on or listening to your intuition. There was different times in here where I could relate to part of it. She talks about her daughter that has a severe allergy condition, and my daughter does not, but she does have eczema that was pretty severe when she was young. So when she's talking about laying awake at night because your child can't sleep, and she's scratched herself and made the sheets bloody, like I could completely relate to that because we went through that. But her child's condition is very much scarier, more severe, because she goes into severe anaphylactic shock multiple times a year, and so that's very harrowing. And she talks about a lot of things. I and some of the essays are more powerful than others. I enjoyed reading them one at a time. I talked about it last week, interspersed. Like I might read one and then later in the day read another one. And I did go in order, and she does refer to other things. So altogether, collectively, it does give a peek into some aspects of her life, but it's not a tell-all or anything like that. Um, and some of them were just emotionally, like, I to me, that there's a hidden jewel right in the middle of the collection that is, if you have read this, I don't want to give any spoilers, but if you have read this, it's the one where she goes in for a blood test with her friend. And that one was just a quietly little devastating essay to me. And the scariest ones were the first one, where she meets the stranger on a hiking path, and then I think it's the last one where her daughter is having a severe allergic reaction. There's also several stories that have to do with near drowning episodes, and those are described in such detail, and those are very frightening as well. So I enjoyed the book very much. It was different, and different's good for me because I am not really much of a biography or memoir type of reader, so I liked the format. The other one that I'm reading currently is On Juneteenth by Annette Gordon-Reed. She also wrote the Hemmingses of Monticello, An American Family, which is a book I've heard a lot about, and that maybe I'll read it in this upcoming year, since I keep professing that I'm going to read more nonfiction. Maybe this will be one of the ones, because I'm really enjoying this. It's a slim little volume, and I'm about halfway through, so I think I'll read the rest of it this weekend and have more to say about it next time. But in this book, Gordon Reed is talking about American history, and Black history in particular, and Texas Black history in a special particular. And she grew up in Texas, and so I like this kind of nonfiction book that is narrative nonfiction, where we have carefully researched historical information, but in the context of somebody's own experiences as well. I enjoy reading that type of nonfiction. So she talks about growing up in Conroe, being the first Black child in first grade at the elementary school that her parents decided to transfer her to. And she will intersperse that with the history of that place. Something that she talks about in that story of her childhood integration that I thought was interesting, and I hadn't thought a lot about it, was about the teachers. Because when schools were integrated, the black children were usually, they were moved to schools and added to schools that had mainly a white teaching population. They didn't move a ton of white kids into the school that had the all black staff, and they didn't move the black teachers along and put them in charge of white classrooms. So in a lot of these cases, the teachers, uh, they didn't get fired, but they got assigned, because if you work in public schools, you can interview and be hired for one job, but you might be assigned to something else. And so a lot of them got assigned to clerical jobs in the school, just things that were not classroom teaching positions. And I thought, oh, that must have been, I have not read about this. That must have been remarkably difficult. And I don't know if she's going to talk more about it, but I would like to hear more about that. But anyway, I'm about halfway through, and I will have more things to reflect on when I get to the end, looking at it as a whole, what themes are presented here, and takeaways and things, other things to think about. But I'm enjoying it a lot. Okay. So I also have two fiction books. It was a surprise. When I left off, I said I was choosing between my other two books that were by Indigenous authors, and I am going to talk about one of those. But before I started reading those, I remembered that I had this mystery sitting in my cart from the library, and it was read it or send it back time. So I decided to have a little, I like to have a splash of murder now and then in my reading month. So I read The Raging Storm by Anne Cleeves. And this is the third Matthew Venn novel. So the first one, the other two have like bird names. Let's see. The Long Call and The Heron's Cry. And this is called the Two Rivers series. And if you haven't read these, I would start at the beginning. Anne Cleeves has written several mystery series, and I have not read the other ones. I have watched the Shetland show on TV, and I've seen some of the Vera show as well, but I haven't read those books. But this is a different detective character that she started in this series named Matthew Venn. He's a detective who grew up in a very cloistered, very, very fundamentalist, conservative religious group called the Brethren. And they come up a number of times in these books because they are still active in the area that he lives, and sometimes factor into the whatever happened in the town. But when he became a teenager, he realized that he was gay, and when he came out, and he was basically ostracized by the community, and his parents chose to turn their backs on him. So part of the ongoing storyline is him deciding whether or not, how much peace he wants to make with his mother now that she is an elderly widow. His husband's always trying to encourage him to let some of those things from the past go and just kind of accept her where she is now. And he's not always able to do that, or doesn't think that he should have to do that. And it's interesting because Matthew he's kind of straight-laced, buttoned up, very organized, doesn't display lots of emotions. And his husband's a complete opposite. His husband is an artist. He's outgoing, extrovert, kind of laid back. So they have an interesting dynamic between them. And there's two other detectives that he works with. And for me, the best part of the story is kind of this developing characters of these three, because the point of view will move around between the three of them, and they're quite different in personality. And then the way they describe the other ones really adds to the character development. And to me, that is actually better than sometimes the material of the actual mystery. This one was pretty good. I would say, as far as not, being able to see what probably happened in the mystery, this one might be the best one. They're not the greatest mysteries ever written, but they are fun to read. They're not excessively gory, but they're not cozy either. And you do just have to stop and wonder, why is it so hazardous to live in these kind of rocky, windswept coastal villages in the UK? The murder rate is extraordinary in these places. And I gotta wonder about that. But I had a fun time reading The Raging Storm. I'm reading Ragged Company. Get that note off. Ragged Company by Richard Wagamese. And this story, I am about a little more than halfway through it, and um, there's strengths and weaknesses, I would say, thus far. I love the premise. You have these four homeless people. I think they're in Ontario. They live on the streets, and three of them drink heavily. The other one, she is a recovering alcoholic. She no longer drinks, but she chooses to stay on the streets, and she has kind of dedicated herself to helping other people who are homeless as well. And so she's kind of a slightly maternal figure. She's a little older than the three men that she hangs out with, and she refers to them as the boys. And we gradually get backstories of everybody. And the other main character is Granite, who is a retired journalist who has some personal, emotional trauma of his own that he is trying to not think about. And all of them find escapism at the movie theater. So the group of homeless friends get this idea one really cold, frigid day that if they scrape together enough money, and Amelia One Sky has a little secret stash of extra money, that they could go into the movies and they could buy sequential tickets and stay in the theater for hours out of the snowstorm and enjoy the movie. And so when they're in there, they meet Granite, who also goes to the movies to escape. And he has a big home library of movies, but he also is at the movies. The movies are fun in this book because the book takes place, it never says that it's 1988 or whatever, but the movies that they go to are all movies from 1988, 1989. They will go to these movies and then they'll talk about them. Some of the movies that they go to are Cinema Paradiso, Wings of Desire, Stealing Home, which was not a good movie. Big. What else did they go to see? I'll have to look. But they have some discussions, and so this is kind of just going along like this. And then one day, one of the people finds, he thinks he found a pack of cigarettes on the street that has a couple left in it, but inside there was some cash and a lottery ticket, and it was a big winner. So and I'm not giving anything away because that's what it tells you the story's about on the back, is that they find this winning lottery ticket, but they can't claim it because nobody has any ID or address or bank account or anything. So they have to enlist the help of Granite to redeem this. And so then we move into it being a story about, well, your fortunes change, but you're still you, and whatever was disturbing you before is still there. And so how are you going to navigate this? So the characters are compelling. The plot is really interesting. And in many places it is really beautifully written, but here's the weakness is that it's not always beautifully written. Sometimes it's kind of clunky and schmaltzy. So I'll be reading along and all of a sudden somebody will just make the most cheesy speech about we all need to stick together. And I'm thinking, and it happens multiple times. So there's a certain element of schmaltz in here that kind of throws me off. And some of the character traits of the people are a little stereotypical. And I'm going to save how I feel about that ultimately for the wrap up, since I have a lot of the book left to read and see kind of where I land when I get to the end. So I'm liking the story, and I'm liking a lot of the writing. And I don't know where this falls in Wagamese's body of work, if this is one of his early novels or not. So that might play a role in the prose stylings. But anyway, I read on, and I'll let you know what I think when I get to the end. So that is it. That's where I am, and I will be continuing. I'll finish those two books probably this weekend, and then I will look and see what is left on my TBR, because we are moving past the halfway point of November. Got a holiday little road trip coming up in the coming weeks, so I will see what I can film and get out on the channel before that. I've got a couple of tags I want to do, and I have a haul I want to do. So I'll see what all I can manufacture before I'm out of town for a few days. So I hope that you have a good weekend in store, and I hope that your reading week was good as well. Let me know in the comments what you've been reading or watching, or any thoughts you have on what I shared today. And if you think you might like to be a BookTube judge, check out the video below. It has the link to a very easy Google form for signing up. And let me know if you think you might do that as well. And until then, I will see you on Tuesday with something from my list of videos that I am wanting to make. Have a great weekend. Bye.